This building is very modern in design. I know you have been selling condos all over the west side for a number of years now. Is this a direction that you see things moving in over here?
As far as Humboldt Park?
Yeah.
You know, the whole I mean, I've been a realtor for, this year actually is 20 years. And I've worked mainly like Bucktown, Wicker Park, East Village, Ukrainian Village, you know, from the beginning. And, you know, honestly, I could have never told you in a million years that what happened in Bucktown and Wicker Park would have, like, happened in the way that it did. I mean, you know, just now with, like, I mean, just for what's happened over there. I mean, it's not even a question of it good or bad, but just how it developed. I mean, I was 22 years old, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about, you know, just the process of how, you know, neighborhoods start to, you know, see developments like this, usually, you know, Humboldt Park has gotten a bad rap for a long time. And I actually personally live, I don't know if it's Humboldt Park or Logan Square. I guess it would be Logan Square, but I live on Palmer in Humboldt, and I've lived there for 13 years. And, you know, people are like, what the hell are you doing moving over to Palmer and Humboldt? But, you know, I believed in what was happening there, and, you know, I'm also, you know, it's like there was a certain building type that I wanted, and so I believed in what was happening. And I also saw that as a spillover because that was what I could afford. And, you know, I'd lived in Wicker Park before that, and as Wicker Park continued to gentrify, and I got priced personally out of that market, I went to the next closest location, which to me was that. And, you know, Humboldt Park is, I think, sort of the same way. Yeah. Is that, you know, locations just continue to expand west because it's an affordable factor. It's affordable for a builder to buy land. It's affordable for, you know, a price point, you know, based on people that, you know, may want to be in a different location further east but can't afford it. Right. So I think it's kind of all relative, you know, to, you know, what price points are. I mean, land has a lot to do with it. As land gets more expensive, then, you know, prices become more expensive. Right now, land is actually going in the opposite direction. It's going less. And, you know, we're going through, you know, a really big correction right now in the marketplace that I think, you know, overall is really a good thing because the practices that were in place for the last really 5 to 7 years weren't sustainable. And I could probably write a book on that separately and eat up all your tape talking about that. But I, you know, personally, I tend to think strong conservative growth. And I try to align myself with people that think the same way.
The end of irrational exuberance.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thinking, you know, like cash flow and worst case scenario are coming back into style, and that's good. You know, our marketplace, when I say our marketplace, realtors, attorneys, inspectors, you know, lenders, like across the board, there's a purge and a cleanse, you know, that's going on right now of people that, you know, the excellence is rising to the top. And, you know, that in and of itself is just one of the best things. I mean, this reminds me, this market that we're in right now reminds me very much of when I started in 1989. It was kind of fresh out of the savings and loan scandal and, you know, the collapse of that and double-digit interest rates, and there was really no such thing as a condo. And it was selling apartment buildings, and there were good sound fundamentals that were in place. I mean, if you were buying a building, if it didn't have a 15% cash-on-cash rate of return out of the box, I mean, you just simply weren't buying it. And those were good sound practices, and banks lent money based on good sound fundamentals. And I mean, everybody contributes to that. I mean, people that were in this for a fast buck, you know, their days are limited.
Right. So the hope is we'll see fewer, more high-quality developments.
It's definitely, you know what, the corrections that's going on right now is completely driving quality. Absolutely. I mean, you know, people are standing out more. They're not doing the cheapest finishes. Although, you know, like, and I have to say this because, like, this particular developer, and actually a lot of the guys that I work with never really did that. They were always, you know, trying to show value and, you know, trying to make the good, you know, the best decisions and the best application of stuff that they could based on, because that was just part of like a strategy. But it's definitely driving quality on every level right now. And quality value as far as pricing. And I think for anybody who's looking to buy right now, if they're short term, don't buy. I think you need to be looking at, you know, minimally 3 years, and I wouldn't even, I don't even want to say 3, I'd say 5. That, you know, that would be, I think, a relatively safe place, you know, for one to...
because it'll take that long for the market to turn around?
Right. Well, I mean, foreclosures and short sales, you know, are contributing a lot to, you know, just an abundance of inventory. It's also really distracting to a lot of buyers that are out there right now because of the needle in the haystack theory of thinking that, you know, that they can buy a place like this for, you know, $50,000 bucks. And I mean, in reality, that's just not out there. But there's a lot of, and you have to go through that process, and I believe everybody should go through an educational process of seeing everything that's in their price range, and making an educated decision. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions just about what foreclosures and short sales are and what that really means right now, and I think that's contributed to buyers creating pause before they actually make a commitment on something that otherwise they would probably buy because they feel like they might be missing something else.
So you're finding that the buyers that approach you are much more discerning than they would have been 2 or 3 years ago?
I'm mainly a seller's agent, although I do work, I have a regular group of buyers that are investment type buyers that I work with. But I have been, because I want to be in touch, and I think that it's really important just to be in touch with what's happening. I mean, I see a lot. I live, breathe, and eat real estate 24/7. Literally, you can ask my husband. But I'm working with a condo buyer, and I'm working with a smaller apartment building buyer that would be in this price range. And I've had the ability to get out there and see what other people are doing and see what they're offering and see how they're pricing and and looking at really just crap place after crap place and sifting through that needle in a haystack type thing and helping my buyer make the most educated decision. And there's change that goes through that. So yeah, I mean I kind of forgot the question now. But
if buyers are becoming more educated about...
They are, absolutely. But it depends on their level. They're spending definitely more time than they should. And whether they choose to work with a realtor or not, they have to do their homework. They have to be, money is really important right now in terms of financing. It was really, I can tell you, I knew when, things were really starting to change when I was in Kinko's and, getting something, and I heard the guy who was, the cashier saying, oh yeah, my brother and I are building townhomes, it's and the bank want them. I was like, my God, it's if banks were, that kind of stuff, money was plentiful.
Yeah.
And, that spigot's been turned off. It's very credit score driven. So yes, buyers are definitely becoming, either through, their diligence or through direct experience of not being able to do what, they thought that they were going to be able to do. Most definitely. Yeah. And, as a seller's agent, and just as an agent in general, you want to vet people properly to make sure that, that the steps that they're taking, that they've, looked at all those bases and covered all those bases so that they're not making a commitment that they're not going to be able to follow through on.
Sure.
Or put themselves in a situation, or put your seller in a situation where, follow through isn't going to be able to realistically happen.
Right.